It began on a quiet morning, the kind of morning that feels gentle and predictable. Mr. John, a retired engineer in his early 70s, loved starting his day by preparing a cup of tea for himself and his wife. As he reached toward the kettle, he noticed something unusual. His fingers did not close around the handle the way they always had. His grip felt slow, almost as though his hand had forgotten what it was supposed to do. He attempted the movement again, expecting his fingers to respond normally, yet they hesitated one more time. The delay was brief, only a fraction of a second, but something about it felt unfamiliar. His wife, who had been watching him from across the kitchen, gently asked whether he felt all right. She noticed that one hand was not working in perfect harmony with the other, and her instinct told her this was more than simple clumsiness. That moment of awareness, that simple question, became the reason he reached the hospital in time. Many people imagine strokes arriving with dramatic symptoms, but the truth is that the earliest and most reliable warning signs often appear quietly in the hands. Today, I want to explain exactly why that happens, what it means, and how a simple daily movement may help you recognize the earliest signs of a stroke long before it becomes life-changing. How the hands reveal what the brain cannot say. When we think about stroke symptoms, we typically imagine slurred speech, a drooping face, or the sudden inability to stand or walk. While these symptoms are indeed significant, they usually appear much later in the process. What many people do not realize is that the earliest and sometimes the clearest warning signs appear first in the hands. Every intentional movement begins in the brain. If you decide to pick up a pencil, straighten a blanket, or turn the pages of a book, the action originates in the motor cortex. This region of the brain sends thousands of tiny electrical impulses down through the spinal cord, into the peripheral nerves, and finally into the intricate muscles of the hand. Because this pathway is so sensitive, even the slightest interruption in blood flow or oxygen supply can affect the timing, strength, and coordination of your hand movements. Think of the brain as a city filled with interconnected roads. Blood vessels are the highways that deliver oxygen and nutrients to keep everything functioning. When a clot begins to form, it does not shut down an entire road immediately. Instead, it slows a narrow lane, then another, and then another. Traffic begins to crawl before it halts completely. Similarly, your hand begins to show delays and hesitations before any major symptoms appear in your speech or balance. This is why the hands often reveal trouble before the rest of the body. Small delays in hand movement are not random. They are messages. They are the body's attempt to warn you that something is interfering with the brain's ability to communicate with your muscles. The challenge is that these tiny signals often feel so subtle that people overlook them or blame them on age, tiredness, or stiffness. Yet these very signs may be your earliest opportunity to prevent a major stroke. Understanding micro delays and why they matter. Imagine that you attempt to pick up a spoon and it slips from your fingers even though you feel certain that you held it correctly. Or perhaps you try to button your shirt and your fingers seem slower than usual, fumbling with a movement that normally feels automatic. Maybe you reach for your phone and notice your hand feels slightly heavy, or your fingers do not respond at the same speed they normally do. These moments, although brief, are deeply important. Micro delays in hand movement can appear well before a full stroke develops. In some individuals, these delays can occur up to an hour before other symptoms become noticeable. During this time, the brain is struggling. Small clots may be obstructing blood flow, restricting oxygen to the neurons that control your hand. These neurons begin to fire more slowly or less accurately. When the motor cortex cannot send its signals smoothly, your hand movement becomes awkward, hesitant, or delayed. Many seniors describe these sensations in different ways. Some say, "My hand did not feel like mine." Others say, "My fingers did not listen to me." Some describe a sense of heaviness, while others notice a moment of confusion, as if the hand forgot what it was supposed to do. These experiences are significant because they indicate that the brain-hand connection is being disrupted. Even if the symptoms disappear after a minute or two, the underlying cause may still be developing. A clot that temporarily blocks blood flow may move or dissolve, restoring function briefly. But if that clot lodges again or grows in size, the next episode may be far more serious. This is why listening to your hands is essential. They may be expressing the first signs of brain distress long before your speech or balance shows any change. Recognizing these micro delays may allow you or a loved one to seek help before irreversible damage occurs. The grip and release test, a simple, powerful tool. For many years, neurologists in several parts of the world, particularly in Japan, have used a simple technique to assess the early risk of stroke. This method is called the grip and release test. It does not require strength, special equipment, or any medical experience. It simply requires awareness and observation. Here is how to perform the test properly. First, raise both hands to shoulder height. Second, turn your palms so they are facing outward. Third, slowly open your fingers and then close them again, as if you are gently squeezing an invisible ball. Fourth, repeat this movement about 10 to 12 times. As you do this exercise, you are not measuring strength. You are measuring responsiveness. You are observing whether both hands move with equal smoothness, equal speed, and equal coordination. Ask yourself the following questions. Does one hand open slightly slower than the other? Does one hand feel less coordinated or less obedient? Do the fingers of one hand feel stiff or delayed when compared with the other hand? Does one hand seem to hesitate before closing or opening? Do the hands feel symmetrical, or is one clearly behaving differently? Even a half-second delay can be significant. When your brain sends a command and one hand responds more slowly, that delay may represent a blockage in the neural pathway. The grip and release test can reveal these delays clearly because it requires fine coordination, rhythm, timing, and symmetrical motor control. If the brain is struggling, the hands will show it. This test is not an exercise alone. It is a form of communication. It is a way of asking your brain, are you functioning normally today? If the answer is anything less than a clear yes, it is time to take action. What it means when the test shows a problem. If the grip and release test reveals asymmetry, hesitation, or weakness in one hand, it usually points to one of several possible issues within the brain or nervous system. The first possibility is reduced blood flow to the motor cortex. This is the region responsible for initiating hand movement. If a small clot obstructs blood flow, even temporarily, neurons in that area may not receive the oxygen they need. When neurons are deprived of oxygen, their electrical signals become slower and less precise, causing delays in your hand movements. The second possibility is slowed neural conduction. This means that the message traveling from your brain to your hand is being delayed because the neurons are stressed. When a pathway is struggling, the signal may be weak, hesitant, or incomplete. The third possibility is a transient ischemic attack. This is sometimes referred to as a mini-stroke, although that phrase can be misleading. A transient ischemic attack is a temporary blockage that affects the brain's function for a short period. It often resolves on its own, but it is a major warning sign. Many people experience a transient ischemic attack before a full stroke, and hand delays can be one of the earliest signs. The fourth possibility is poor neurovascular coupling. This refers to the brain's ability to increase blood flow to an area that is actively being used. If this mechanism is weakened, the brain may struggle to provide the motor cortex with the oxygen it needs during activities like hand movement. Regardless of the cause, the message is clear. A delay in hand movement is never something to ignore. The science behind hand movement and brain health. To understand why this test is so powerful, it helps to understand how the brain communicates with the hands. When you decide to move your fingers, your motor cortex generates an electrical command. This command travels through the neurons in your brain, down the spinal cord, through the nerves in your arm, and into the small muscles of your hand. As your hand moves, sensory nerves send information back to your brain. This creates a continuous loop of communication. Your brain and hand are in constant dialogue. If any part of this loop is interrupted, the delay becomes visible. What is fascinating is that rhythmic hand movement actually strengthens this loop. When you repeatedly open and close your hand, you increase blood flow to the hand. You increase blood flow to the motor cortex. You improve oxygen delivery. You strengthen the pathway between the brain and hand. You train your brain to maintain sharp communication. Scientific studies have shown that even a couple of minutes of rhythmic hand movement can significantly increase oxygenation in the motor cortex. For aging adults, increased oxygenation means healthier neurons, sharper reactions, and better protection against decline. This is why activities such as knitting, playing the piano, gardening, or doing crafts are associated with sharper cognitive function. They keep the brain engaged in fine motor control and improve interhemispheric communication. The corpus callosum, the structure connecting the two sides of the brain, becomes more active when both hands work together. This helps maintain coordination, decision-making, and emotional stability. Why daily hand movement protects the brain. Daily practice of the grip and release test offers several benefits that extend far beyond early detection. First, it stimulates the motor cortex. Keeping this region active ensures that your brain remains responsive and adaptable. Neurons that are regularly stimulated tend to form stronger connections and communicate more efficiently. Second, it increases circulation. Rhythmic movement encourages blood flow through the arteries that supply the hand and arm, which promotes better overall circulation to the brain. Third, it supports neurovascular health. The blood vessels that supply the brain remain more flexible and responsive when they are regularly stimulated through movement. This reduces the risk of clot formation and improves the brain's ability to protect itself. Fourth, it strengthens the communication between the brain and the limbs. This helps maintain balance, reflexes, and coordination, especially in older adults. Fifth, it builds awareness. When you perform this movement daily, you establish a baseline for how your hands normally behave. This makes it easier to notice even small changes that could indicate trouble. The ideal times to perform the test. The best time to perform the grip and release test is twice a day. The first time is in the morning. After a night of rest, your circulation can be slow and your body may feel slightly stiff. Testing your hand movement in the morning helps activate your brain and allows you to detect any unusual delays that appear after sleep. The second time is in the evening. During the evening, circulation often slows due to long periods of sitting or inactivity. Performing the test at this time keeps your brain alert and ensures your neural pathways remain active. You can also perform the test whenever you feel the slightest abnormal sensation in your hand, arm, or face. If you ever feel dizzy, confused, or weak, or if one hand feels different from the other, the grip and release test can help you determine whether your brain is struggling to maintain coordination. Common mistakes. Seniors. Many older adults overlook early signs because they assume the symptoms are a normal part of aging. This is one of the most dangerous mistakes you can make. Fine motor delays are not typical aging symptoms. They are neurological clues that deserve attention. Another common mistake is waiting for pain. Pain is not a reliable indicator of a stroke. A stroke often occurs without pain. Instead, it causes confusion, delays, and hesitation in movement. If you wait for pain, you may miss the critical window for treatment. A third mistake is performing the test too aggressively. Some individuals squeeze too tightly or move their hands too quickly. The goal is not strength or speed. The goal is mindful observation. The movement should feel calm, controlled, and deliberate. Finally, some seniors skip the test on days when they feel normal. The purpose of the test is not to react only when you feel something is wrong. The purpose is to maintain awareness consistently. When performed regularly, the test builds familiarity with your normal rhythm and makes it easier to detect even the smallest changes. Warning signs you must never ignore. The following symptoms should never be dismissed or overlooked. If your hand suddenly feels heavy or detached, pay attention. If you struggle with tasks like picking up a coin or holding a pen, it may be a sign. If one hand feels noticeably colder than the other without an explanation, this is significant. If your writing suddenly looks messy or unfamiliar, do not ignore it. If your fingers feel slow or unresponsive, take it seriously. If you experience sudden tremors or weakness, seek help immediately. In addition to these hand-specific signs, look for whole-body symptoms such as slurred speech, facial drooping, sudden confusion, difficulty walking, or dizziness. These symptoms indicate that the brain is struggling significantly and immediate medical help is essential. When dealing with potential stroke symptoms, hesitation is dangerous. Time is one of the most important factors in treatment. The sooner you seek help, the better your chances of recovery. Hand awareness builds confidence and control. Awareness is not fear. Awareness is empowerment. By paying attention to your hand movements, you are giving yourself control. You are not waiting passively for something to happen. You are actively checking your health, maintaining your neural pathways, and engaging with your body's signals. This simple movement becomes a ritual, a quiet daily moment where you reconnect with your own health. It becomes a form of self-care that protects your independence and confidence. When you practice the grip and release test with consistency, you create a clearer understanding of how your body normally behaves. You learn to distinguish between normal sensations and warning signs. You build trust in your instincts. And when something feels wrong, you will be equipped to respond quickly and effectively. Your hands are among the most honest storytellers of your body. They reveal subtle shifts long before those shifts appear in your speech or balance. A small hesitation, a delayed grip, or a sudden bout of clumsiness may seem insignificant in the moment, but these sensations are often early signals from the brain that deserve attention. By performing this simple hand movement every morning and every evening, you create a dependable daily check-in that keeps you informed and protected. If you notice even a slight delay, heaviness, or difference between your hands, do not wait for it to pass. Do not assume it is fatigue or age. Call for help immediately. Responding early can protect your independence, your speech, your mobility, and your future. Stay aware, stay proactive, and remember that maintaining your health truly begins with listening to your own body.